Welcome, race fans, to Auto Club Speedway. There is the car driven by Daytona 500 winner Jamie McMurray. He, along with the rest of the Sprint Cup Series, is getting set to take to the track a little later on today to prepare for race number 2 of the season. But on us right now is Nationwide Series practice here at Auto Club as we get set for a full day of coverage on speed. Hello, everybody. I'm John Roberts. Glad you could be with us. Let's take a quick look at the menu, see what's coming up today on speed, and it is a full day as we will kick everything off right now with Nationwide Series practice. Sprint Cup practice, Nationwide final practice at 4:30 Eastern time. Then for your nightcapper, we have trackside coming your way with Jamie McMurray. Let's now send it up to the broadcast booth and Steve Burns for Nationwide Series practice.
And thank you very much, John Roberts. Overcast skies, temperatures in the mid-50s here at the Auto Club Speedway. Mostly cloudy with a 100% chance of Danica. Yes, Danica Mania.
I know her.
Danica Mania follows us from Daytona to the Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California. She and 48 other drivers getting ready for a 50-minute practice here on this 2-mile racetrack. Last week, in her Nationwide Series debut, Danica was introduced to loud applause and cheers. She missed a wreck early, did her best to stay out of trouble. But on lap 69, you see her car circle. She cannot avoid trouble right in front of her, cutting her day short and relegating her to a 35th place finish. She said she had fun and learned a lot, and plenty of media there as she kicks the car and heads to the media center. But the big story, Tony Stewart winning the race for the 5th time at Daytona in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. And for more on Danica Patrick here in Fontana, California, let's go to Miss Wendy.
Well, thank you, Steve Burns. Paparazzi in NASCAR, yes, it does exist. And moments ago, when Danica Patrick climbed in her Nationwide car for the first practice session here in California, she was swarmed by media here. It was crazy just moments ago. Danica making her way into the race car. I talked to Tony Uri Jr., the crew chief for Danica, and he said the important thing is getting laps for Danica. This is obviously a very different racetrack than we had last week at Daytona. She feels confident that she got that one race out of the books. However, now it's focusing on that race car, making runs by herself, get laps on the car before the next practice session. They're going to get her more comfortable in the race car. That's the goal for the 17 here in the Nationwide Garage. Steve, back up to you.
All right, thank you very much, Wendy, and good afternoon, everybody. On the East Coast, it's morning here for Steve Burns and Jeff Hammond. The paparazzi always follows Jeff, particularly in Hollywood.
That's right, man. I tell you, this is so tough.
Jeff,
I like being here.
I don't care if it's Danica Patrick or whomever. What you need to accomplish here in these 2 practices, you better have a fast race car, because 5 of the last 6 races here in the Nationwide Series have been won from the front row.
Starting up front is always a plus, Steve. You know, you get the best pit stall, you got the clear racetrack, the air kind of like works for you. All these things are very much, I mean, they've been documented out. But this time, I like the fact that Goodyear has come with a different race tire. I think it's going to help. It's been based off of the tire that they developed last year at Indianapolis. And if you remember the guy who won the race there, 48 car Jimmy Johnson, well, he started 16th. So it tells me that you can start a little bit deeper in the field and maybe make your way up through there. At least that's what I'm hoping is going to happen, is we're going to see some good racing here today. This is a tough racetrack. You've already talked about the fact this is not Daytona. You driver, the car, everything's got to work in sync if you want to be good here. And I think today we're going to find out who is going to roll their sleeves up and get ready to go do some real racing.
Also joining us today, handsome Hermie Sadler. Hermie?
Well, thank you, Steve. And when you talked about Danica Patrick, her first laps in a stock car at the California Speedway, but one driver who has lots of experience here and kind of a homecoming this weekend is Kevin Harvick. Now listen to his stats for here in the Nationwide Series at California. 14 starts, 12 top 10s, but no victories in this Nationwide Series car. They brought a brand new race car out of the KHI stables here to California this weekend and are very optimistic as Kevin backs out of the garage to go on the racetrack that he can get a win this weekend in the Nationwide Series here at basically his home racetrack. They pulled in all the stops and did everything they knew how to do to get Kevin to victory lane at, as I said, at a racetrack that he calls home, guys.
And Hermie, that's a great point. Kevin Harvick from nearby Bakersfield, California. Jeff, this is one of just 7 active NASCAR Nationwide Series tracks where Kevin has not won, but as Hermie said, he's got an amazing record here of finishes.
He really does. You know, he finished 3rd last week at Daytona, and I think the most interesting thing that he brought into play here, a new car for Kevin Harvick. Last year, KHI started building new race cars, new race trucks, and over the course of the final races, they were pretty phenomenal. So you got to believe right now that Kevin Harvick may have his best opportunity to get to victory lane this weekend here in California than any other time, because I think these new cars, they've learned something. They've learned how to build them lighter, get the CG down, make the car be more aerodynamically balanced, you might say. Because again, when you take a look here, man, as far as the description of this racetrack that ToyotaRacing.com is sponsored for us, is a banking in the corners, just 14 degrees down the front straightaway, got banking there, 11 degrees back straightaway. That's where it gets tricky, is off of turn 2, the way it flattens out there. So the transition off of 2 and into 3, very, very critical here.
So that's our ToyotaRacing.com track description. We just saw David Rudiman in the 10 car driving for Braun in his Behringer Toyota.
Did I ever tell you that David Rudiman's not wound too tight?
You don't have to tell me that.
Okay, I just wanted to check. I was hanging around with him this morning down. He was in the Nationwide garage early on. You know, he's going to run about 3 races this year, and he was, oh, we got trouble right there. We've already got a truck car that's gotten into the outside safer barrier. 81 car.
It's Michael McDowell.
And I mean, that has got backup.
Broke.
Yep, he just said it. Let's go to the backup.
Yep.
Driving for Randy McDonald, the Crusader Staffing Associates Dodge, heads to the garage. Got a long look at Michael McDowell. Top of your screen, you see, just shoots up the hill. Heavy contact with the wall.
Steve, I know from that angle it's very difficult to say, but he said either something broke or even it could have been a situation where, you know, you'd hate to say this, but he may have cut a right front tire down because that car really took off.
5.5 minutes into this 50-minute practice, we're under caution. Michael McDowell hits the wall, and we'll be right back. Speed's presentation of NASCAR Nationwide Practice from the Auto Club Speedway is brought to you by Lumber Liquidators, hardwood flooring for less, and by the Sponsifier. Visit ToyotaRacing.com and click on Design It, Enter It. Take a look at the weather here. Overcast, temperatures in the mid-50s. Jeff, I heard the weather forecast looks like rain tonight, but it should not affect our racing tomorrow or Sunday.
No, it should be really good for the rest of this weekend.
Let's go back into the garage and Hermie Sadler.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. We saw Michael McDowell crash hard on the racetrack here. Bad hit. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Just got down to the bottom there at turn 3 and cut a right front tire. I don't know if something was rubbing or whatnot, but unfortunate for everyone here on the McDonald Motorsports 81 car. We got Crusader Staffing on the side of the car, but we got it back up. We're locked in the show, so we'll go to work and we'll get it ready for tomorrow. But real unfortunate, but you know, thank God I'm all right. It's a big hit.
Hey, this is what you talk about. How the racing can take you from the top to the bottom. This guy races into Daytona 500, then crashes his Nationwide car. And look at a shot of the side of this car, Steve and Jeff, and you guys know these flush hits on the side of these cars are really heavy hits and can take a lot of energy by the driver. So a real hard hit for Michael McDowell. Glad to see he's okay.
Yeah, you're right about that, Hermie. And you're right, my friend. You've crashed enough race cars. That is a very big hit that number 81 car has sustained. And when you hit sideways like that, Steve, the whole problem and the point about that has to do with the fact that the seats, as well as their design, and the belts are not really, they work better when you hit straight ahead. You know what I'm saying? That side hit, you don't have that opportunity to really be held like you want to be inside that car. So it does put your body in quite a, I guess you might say, a position to really get hurt. Ring your bell.
Now, fortunately, he's okay. We take a look at Kevin Harvick, one of 12 drivers doing double duty here at the Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California. This part of Southern California known as the Inland Empire, about 50 miles east of Los Angeles.
Watch Kevin Harvick right there heading off into turn 3. And Steve, the thing about this racetrack, I think it's deceiving. It's so big, so massive, you think, man, this ain't got to be fun. It's got to be easy to drive, and it's not. You've got to be able to hit your marks and make it, you know, get down on the racetrack. Up there noticing right now the front nose of that car bouncing off the racetrack. We're on board with Kevin Harvick. You see him inside there working the wheel. Just barely gets out of the throttle, but you can see it's not an easy ride. He is really working the steering wheel on that number 33 car.
Hermie talked
12th quickest.
Jeff Hermie talked about Kevin Harvick's record here. He finished second in this race 1 year ago, fourth in October. And he's done everything but win. He's finished second 3 times.
See, that car right there is a borderline being loose. He's having to work the wheel, but every now and then he's kind of chasing it back to the right, which tells me the car is just about ready to step out on him. So be interesting to see what kind of changes they'll make in this 33 car when he does finally come in. He just completed another lap, moved up a little bit, up to 8th quickest.
What a run he had in the Daytona 500.
Oh, it was. He had a great speed weeks. I mean, he was involved in everything. Think about it. The shootout.
Won the shootout.
Wound up doing second in the 150, and then third in the Saturday race, and then man, he was right there again and fighting for the lead.
Tony Stewart won in his nationwide car.
That's why he had a big weekend right there all the way around.
And we've got trouble.
Trouble.
Turn 4, one car smoking heavily, headed down the pit lane.
That's the 11 car there. Rookie Brian Scott.
Here. No idea what it's from.
Another look at what happened to Brian Scott.
Start to see a little telltale oil, and Steve, honestly, looking at that, it makes me think maybe it's an oil line come loose.
We hope
that's the case. Hope that's the case.
So 12 minutes into this 50-minute practice. Caution for the second time. Hermie and Wendy are on the case. We'll be right back to the Auto Club Speedway. Monday night, stop by the hub for your NASCAR fix. We'll recap the action from Fontana and look forward to Las Vegas. Don't miss NASCAR Race Hub Monday nights at 7:30 Eastern, presented by Hooters.
You're making me hungry.
Look at those chopped up bikes.
Telling you.
That's California, baby.
That's it.
Let's go down to the garage and Wendy.
Well, the 18 car of Kyle Busch is empty in this garage stall, and it didn't take me long to find where Kyle Busch was. He is on the Joe Gibbs Racing 18 hauler with his crew chief. Now, Jason Radcliffe and him are just discussing and watching what little practice that we've had so far in the Nationwide garage. The goal is to watch the lap times, watch the line that the other guys are taking around that racetrack. While some people like Danica Patrick are trying to get laps out on that racetrack, a guy like Kyle Busch is taking his time just watching and observing before he gets in the race car. The plan, I asked the team when to get in the car. They said, well, we leave that up to Kyle. When he's good and ready, he's going to get in.
Well, he's won 2 of the last 3 races here, Jeff, and the only reason he didn't win in October was he was sick. He got out of the car and let Denny Hamlin drive it, but he led over 30 laps before turning over the steering wheel and the seat to Denny Hamlin. Joe Gibbs Racing has led 509 of the 602 laps raced here in the last 4 events. Jeff Hammond, that means they've led 85% of the laps in the last 4 races.
I think I would call that dominating, a dominating performance. Wouldn't you call that?
I would.
Take a look at the safety crew right now, putting down some speedy dry, trying to get that oil cleaned up that was put down by the number 11 car, Brian Scott.
We'll continue to get this track dried and come back to the Auto Club Speedway here on Speed. Jeff Hammond and I are pretty excited about trackside tonight at 8:30 Eastern. DW and Larry Mack will be with us, and Daytona 500 champion Jamie McMurray talks about his magic week. And Jeff, the guy who almost won it, Clint Boyer, as well.
You know what that's going to be?
What?
Trackside is going to be cool.
It usually is. Still under caution, Brian Scott putting oil down on the track. Down the backstretch, he's standing by with Hermie.
Yeah, catching up with Brian Scott. Brian, tell us what happened.
Just going down the backstretch on my first lap, hadn't even made a timed lap yet. Started smoking really bad. Just cut the motor, came in here to see what was wrong. We have a hole in the radiator in the oil cooler section, so it's got oil up in there. Made a mess, but the motor's fine. We just got to change the radiator and get back out on it. I don't know if something went through the grill. I don't know if the pressure just blew it out. Not really sure, but I'm sure these guys will figure it out, and we'll get back on the track and be pretty good.
Yeah, these guys are anxious to get back on the racetrack and get Brian Scott, who does not have a lot of Nationwide Series experience at this racetrack, anxious to get him back on the racetrack, guys.
I'm telling you right now, Steve, that is what you call making a mess situation like that, most of these cars are running, 70, 80 pounds of pressure. So any kind of a hole, in particular when you get a place in that heat exchanger, and you see Bill Wilburn out there, the crew chief right there in a gray sweatshirt, working with his crew to get everything cleaned up, probably trying to figure out what's going on. There he is. He's crew chief on the car. Billy going back up to the truck, and they'll have to try to figure out exactly what happened, so when they make the change with the piece of part that they can make sure it doesn't happen again. And on top of that, you also got to be worried about, did it damage the engine?
Back to the garage and Wendy.
Well, with these 2 cautions, it's been a quiet nationwide practice so far. Some cars haven't even gotten out. But Kevin, you've had 2 laps on your race car. What have you learned so far? It's an early morning to try and figure out what's going on.
Our Ream Chevrolet's balance is good. We just wanted to go make sure everything was driving good. Everything's brand new, so we broke the balance on the front. So we'll just wait for him to get some rubber on the racetrack and go back out to second practice.
How much do you need to work on your race car, or have you gotten not much feedback with the valance so far?
No, we don't need to really work on anything right now, so we're just, I didn't get as much as I should have the first lap, but just trying to feel everything out, so I think it's fine.
All right, thanks to Kevin Harvick. And I do want to add, guys, Danica Patrick sitting on the racetrack asking her crew chief, Tony Uri Jr., exactly how much time is left in practice. She still has not gotten a lap on that racetrack. She's straightened out her wheel inside that race car and patiently waiting, asking a lot of questions about the speedy dry, where the oil was laid down on the racetrack, things of that sort.
Wendy, this practice scheduled for 50 minutes. A little bit later today, another practice of 1 hour and 20 minutes. They will qualify here tomorrow morning.
That's going to be a big challenge right there, especially even for Danica Patrick. She's locked into the field, so don't worry about it. She will race tomorrow afternoon, but for this time here, this style of track, I think it's really going to challenge her.
Take a break as track cleaning continues here at the Auto Club Speedway. Glad you're with us here on Speed. Sunday on NASCAR race day, John Roberts and crew will talk to Jamie McMurray about the biggest win of his career and find out why Roush Fenway dominates Fontana. Roush Fenway with 15 wins at this racetrack. Don't miss NASCAR race day, built by the Home Depot. That's at 12 Eastern Sunday here on Speed. Still under caution, and Brian Scott laid a bunch of fluid down. You heard him say he had problems with the radiator, Jeff.
Yeah, he did, and he is really made a mess out there on that racetrack, and I think he's right in that area that, a lot of the teams would like to be able to make that arc off into turn 3 down the back straightaway. You see the safety crews out there, they're doing everything they can possible to get this cleaned up. But I know if I'm the crew chief, my car's not going out on that racetrack anytime soon. I'm not going to take a chance that it's still a little bit loose or a little bit greasy in a certain area. My car's not quite right. And get into that and also wind up wrecking a race car. So I'm going to be very, very patient. If I'm Tony Uri Jr., I know she needs laps on the racetrack, but getting a backup car will not do her any good. So they need to be patient and just take their time.
Well, Jeff, we're 25 minutes into what is scheduled for 50 minutes of practice, and we don't have that many green flag laps on the racetrack. Brian Vickers, the quickest, has run just 2 laps. Paul Menard, 4 laps. And Danica Patrick, as you see there in the graphic, has yet to be on the racetrack.
Right quick, when they pull away where it says Danica Patrick says yet to practice, I want you to look at the gear shift inside that car. It's a little bit different than a lot of the teams that I've seen use here. Looks notice this handle right in here. It's just, to me, I'm just not used to seeing this. It's just a little bit different than most drivers. They're used to normally having a gear knob. She's got a lever right there, I think, again, to make sure it helps her shift the gears and get up through the gears, easier for her. See, this is what I'm talking about. We look inside that part of the car. This is what I'm used to seeing on most of these stock car race cars. And again, I just thought that was a little bit unique that she is, got it fitted, custom made. That's what every driver needs to do. Driver comfort, whatever makes it work for her, you want to do. But this is what, like I say, the ball on top is just what most people are used to seeing.
Let's go back to check in with Hermie.
Yeah, thank you, guys. And Jeff Hammond was talking about veteran drivers and crew chiefs will not want to go on the racetrack right now because a lot of speedy dry from the oil drop down for the 11 car. One veteran is Kenny Wallace, hadn't been on the racetrack yet, but you were telling me this once solid white race car luckily has got some writing on it now.
Yeah, first of all, I want to say congratulations to Uncle Hermie Sadler. I guess your brother Elliot and his wife had a baby, so congratulations that. Yeah, we've got a great story. Our car was almost to Texas, and you know, it just had the number 28 on it. The car was totally white. Because of Twitter and Facebook, I told all my fans, listen, I don't have no money. We can't run any tires. We're gonna have to run used tires. So what we were gonna do was buy people's used tires. Well, this company here, Zimzang.com, out of Richmond, Virginia, contacted me. And then, of course, Blue Ox, who was on our car last week. And then Chuck Cross, a gentleman that lost his life, his daughter, Betsy Stedham, they stepped up to the plate. So I'm proud of everybody. They really, really helped me. I'm humbled. And of course, it's Kenny, lower score, Wallace on Twitter. And all of you have saved my my race here at California. As you can see, the car got decaled this morning. And I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity, Harmony, and everybody at Speed. As you can see now, we have some money on the car so we can race tomorrow. It's awesome. That's Zimzang.com. They make promotional items for small businesses. So if you want business cards, flashlights, koozies, they're awesome. And of course, Blue Ox, they make tow hitches. Thank you, Harmony.
The only bad thing about this is you guys sponsored a driver that doesn't know how to talk on TV. He just will not speak up and support his sponsors. Wendy?
What? From one Wallace to another, I'm with Stephen Wallace. Stephen said, is he still talking? He's Wallace. Of course he's still talking. Stephen, you've been in your car 4 laps this practice, but you're done for a little bit. Tell us why.
Yeah, we're done for a little bit. You know, here at California, this thing tracks sat all winter long. It has no rubber on it. The track's really green, and this track, whenever you go out, the track gets really, really loose. So we're kind of, waiting for some rubber to get built up on it. We made a few changes to our 5-hour Chevy, to kind of improve it. We're a little bit loose, but we're just, trying to kind of keep up with the racetrack. Don't want to make too many adjustments and, get this thing, dialed out for the second practice. So that's what we're working on.
Now, I got you off of the hauler. You were like Kyle Busch watching practice. Obviously, we have some downtime now. What are you studying when you're up there?
Oh, well, you're just kind of looking for, looking at lap times, lap time fall-offs, what grooves guys are running. But it's, really kind of hard to, tell what the guys got now because the track's so green and it's, really loose out there. So we'll kind of have to wait and see, what the track does, get it all rubbered up, and then, kind of go from there.
All right, thanks to Stephen Wallace, who is much easier to interview sometimes than Uncle Kenny.
Talk a lot less.
Yeah, we heard that, and that is true. Well, there's Elliott Sadler with Wyatt Herman Sadler, 7 pounds, 6 ounces. And Jeff, he sent me a text this morning, text message, said, I had no idea my life would change like that in a split second.
It does. I mean, does he look like a daddy to you?
Oh,
I think he does.
Daddy.
He had definitely got a big smile on his face, and again, very good-looking young man in white. And I'm excited for him. This is going to be fun because you and I understand this. We're fathers and everything. That we'll get an opportunity to watch these young men grow up.
Newbies. Newbies, new fathers.
And the thing is, right now, buddy.
Yeah.
You're Mr. Diaper Man. You got to teach them how to change them. I can't help you there.
So congratulations to Elliott and Amanda Sadler.
I think we ought to get a race. With all these newbies we got out there, with Carl Edwards and Elliott Sadler and Jimmy Johnson, we need to sometime with that Jeff. But Jeff would be an unfair advantage. I mean, he's already changed diapers.
That's true.
I'm just thinking of all these rookies. We need to have like a head-to-head competition.
We'll have like a little seminar, a little clinic.
Well, I like to see a race. These guys are racers. Let's see if they can race to put a diaper on a
I like that.
on a baby. I'm talking about a doll. Not a real one.
Thank you.
Yeah, not a real one. We don't need any accidents. There's Danica.
She made a bit of a believer out of me down in Daytona. She did a really good job in the ARCA race, finished 6th or 7th. And you know what? DW had a good point, Jeff. She moves the needle. People are interested. Ratings for the ARCA race were way up. Ratings on ESPN2 for the nationwide race were way up.
David Rudman right there making a pass on. Yes, and I think that's something we're all kind of like paying attention to.
Sure.
But the one thing about as she gets ready to get going here, she's raced here before in an open wheel car. And I just hope that she just clears everything out of her head right now. She started 4th and wound up finishing 18th back in 05. But she needs to understand these cars don't stick as well. And you don't run the same line. So it's like, all right, got to go back to school.
Jeff, talk about the differences for a driver between Daytona and Fontana. What are the biggest challenges that she or any other young driver faces here after a week at Daytona?
Well, here, you get out of the gas. You know, you let the car take a sit. At Daytona, you know, you can get by because you pretty much keep your foot flat on the floor. Not to say you don't drag the brake a little bit, but you don't have to sit the car there. The banking helps you turn it. And here, your driving style, the way you enter the corner, all these things, you know, you see cars going around her, she's starting to move to the bottom side. Just finding the groove and hitting your marks is so important, and just the way you turn the steering wheel can upset the car or make it happy, one or the other. So driver input and what the driver does here is, I think, amplified more than it is even at Daytona ever thought it might be.
Okay, so if I'm hearing you right, this racetrack may be more challenging to a driver than Daytona.
I think so, absolutely. It is a much more challenging racetrack for a driver, because to me, I think the driver has a lot more to do with the performance of your car here. I mean, it really, a driver in Daytona, I mean, you and I can jump out there, and as long as we don't make a mistake, hold it wide open, you can get by with a lot of stuff. And Hermie, you know yourself as a driver that, hey, you got to work, and in here you got to do a lot of work here at this racetrack.
Yeah, and we talk about it a lot, Jeff. You know, with this new Nationwide Series, the tapered spacer and decreased horsepower, you've really got to keep these cars free on the edge of out of control. I mean, it's got a real rear steer type edgy feeling to keep it free enough to get the speed you need coming off the corners for these long straightaways. So in a lot of ways, a Nationwide Series car is as difficult to drive as a Cup Series car, because you don't have that horsepower to pull you out if you have a bad corner. And again, you've got to keep the car so free not to scrub off all that horsepower in the center of the corners. And I agree 100%. This race this weekend will be much more of a gauge of where she is, more so than last week. But so far, it looks like she got a good line on the racetrack. She's not jerking the wheel around a whole lot. I think so far so good for Danica this weekend.
And Hermie, she's one of 7 drivers making their Nationwide Series debuts here. Willie Allen, Colin Brown, James Busher, Parker Kligerman, Andy Ponstein, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr., the others. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Save $100 on the Atlanta Motor Speedway Speed Fanatic. Includes start-finish line seats for the Cup and Truck Series races, as well as pre-race pit road access. Order yours today. Visit speedtv.com, keyword promo, and click on the Atlanta Motor Speedway link. 35 minutes into this practice, you see Danica Patrick and Brian Vickers. Vickers is the quickest, Jeff, completing his 8th lap of practice.
And this is kind of like interesting here to watch Danica lead him around this racetrack. Now, he's taking his time. He's looking for a place to get by her. He understands she's a rookie, so, you know, Brian's more kind of being very meticulous right now. But this is a golden opportunity for her. If she can kind of latch on to him. I talked to Kyle Petty last night, and his daddy told him when he started racing, anytime you get a chance to have a fast car come by you, try to latch onto him, keep him in sight, keep as close as you can, as long as you can, without wrecking, and you'll get better by learning from these guys. So watching his line in front of him, Brian Vickers, she's going to school on him.
Brian's last lap was a 41.85. Danica's a 42.61, Wendy.
And Danica Patrick has been very quiet on the radio in the first few laps of practice. Tony Uri Jr. said in that long break that we had, listen, we just want you to get comfortable with the racetrack. After that, we're going to work on the car. Danica didn't say a word for the first few laps. She was out there, and she's continually gaining more and more speed. As Brian Vickers passed her, the first feedback she gave on the radio, she wanted to know, is he fast? Yes, Tony Uri Jr. said that is a car you can follow. So Danica Patrick was going to try and follow the 32 of Brian Vickers. Danica, you could hear her getting more comfortable in the car by the feedback she's giving in these first few laps of nationwide practice.
We'll take a break from the Auto Club Speedway. Brian Vickers is the fastest, followed by Paul Menard and Greg Biffle. Speed's presentation of NASCAR Nationwide Practice from the Auto Club Speedway is brought to you by the Sponsifier. Visit ToyotaRacing.com and click on Design It, Enter It. We've been under caution twice. Once Michael McDowell hit the wall. Second time, Brian Scott laid fluid down the backstretch. Watching Stephen Wallace in a Toyota this year for Rusty Wallace, Inc. And Jeff, interesting point about Stephen Wallace. They're in Toyotas now. Joe Gibbs Racing drivers have won the last 4 Nationwide Series races here with 3 different drivers: Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, and Tony Stewart.
Yeah, they have, and I mean, they've been strong here. As you take a look right now, Toyota leading the way. But what I've noticed looking at this leaderboard, look at the teammate aspect of it, Steve. Brian Vickers and Jason Leffler, they're all teammates. Look at Paul Menard, Greg Biffle, and Colin Braun, all in Fords. Again, association with Roush Fenway. So it looks to me right now that if you got a teammate and he's running well, you're probably going to be running pretty good yourself. And if you look on down the rest of the leaderboard, you got Carl Edwards and David Rudeman. They're also from the same organization. So there are a lot of teammates right now in the top 10 as far as this leaderboard is concerned.
Between Roush Fenway and Joe Gibbs Racing, they've won 10 of the last 12 races here at Auto Club Speedway in the Nationwide Series.
So would you think they got it pretty well figured out?
I do indeed. Speaking of Baby Watch, Carl and Kate Edwards have yet to welcome their new arrival into the world. Eric Darnell has been hired to drive this car just in case Carl needs to go home and be with Kate.
Now the one thing I want to make sure we understand about that right there, according to what I was told today down in the garage area before we started practice, Eric is there to help practice the car, qualify the car. Carl will wind up being in this car. He'll get back here in time to race it. He's making a run for the championship, so he will be back.
Hermie.
Yeah, and I want to get Jeff Hammond involved on this. They just put the car back down. This is number 6 car of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Now, he was fighting a tight condition coming off turn 2, Jeff. They had the right side of the car jacked up and actually got on the eccentric and moved the rear end housing back on the right side to try to free him up a little bit. Why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, what they're trying to do is get the back of the car to help the front turn a little bit. You can make these cars turn off the rear just as much as you can help turn them off the front. So that if the car felt like it was just too tight in the center out, they can change that, free the back of the car up as he exits the corner, picks the throttle back up to get a little more speed, get the car to free up a little bit. And one thing I did in talking, we take a look now at his teammate Carl Edwards in the 60 car about this Roush Fenway program. Mike Beam, basically the race director for all of Roush Fenway organization, is that Stenhouse is doing a lot of R&D work, for these different teams, and they've got a different setup underneath his car compared to what Carl's got underneath his car. And at the end of this practice session, they'll all get together and compare notes and see what made their cars work and didn't work, try to improve the rest of them. Now Stenhouse, he was one of the slowest of the group. He was 23rd, so I'm sure they're going to start trying to get his car more like Carl Edwards and/or Paul Menard as far as their setups are concerned.
Carl Edwards with 4 consecutive top 5 finishes here in the Nationwide Series at the Auto Club Speedway. He's going to the garage, and that's where we're going to Wendy.
Well, thank you, Steve. And Carl Edwards has a good feel on what changes wants to be done to his Nationwide car. He's decided to bring it in for this practice session. The car's okay. In turn 2 is where it was giving some troubles for Carl Edwards with the Nationwide car. He says it's a little bit too free. So he knows what he wants to do to the car, has given feedback to the team, and they're going to make some adjustments. Carl Edwards, as you see in the in-car camera there, taking off his gloves, could be done for a little bit in this practice session. And to add what Jeff Hammond and Steve were saying about the baby update with Dr. Kate, who's home in Missouri, things are looking good for Carl and Kate. She looks like she may go into next week with having a baby. So call off the baby calls for this week. Carl Edwards feels confident that she's going to hold off a few more days while he is out west. But of course, Eric Darnell, like you said, is on standby.
Just remember one thing. You've been down that road before. They come when they want to.
I was just about to say, I wish them luck.
That's right.
Final minutes of this 50-minute NASCAR Nationwide Series practice. They do practice later today for an hour and 20 minutes. We'll have that for you here on Speed. Danica is back out. Brian Vickers is still the fastest.
Yeah, Danica, she's on track right now. She's 3rd as far as the total number of laps run. Paul Menard has run 14 along with John West Townley in the 21 car for Richard Childers Racing, but she's run 13 laps right now, so I'm not be one bit surprised to see her make more laps than anybody else during this practice session.
Jeff, you mentioned Paul Menard in the 98 car having run the most laps. He's also 2nd quick.
Yeah, he is, and whenever he shows up with his Nationwide car, he is fast. He usually qualifies well, and he races extremely well. Remember at Daytona, he was right in the thick of things when it was getting down to the latter part of the deal. There's a 98 car.
Yeah, he's had good success in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. He's going to run the whole schedule this year.
Yeah, I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. He's going to be a factor in this point championship before it's all said and done.
Greg Biffle is 3rd quick. I mentioned Kyle Busch has an amazing record here. Got his very first Sprint Cup Series pole here at Auto Club Speedway, just 19 years old, and got his first win here when he was 20.
You think he likes California?
I'd say so.
I know what it is. It's the In-N-Out burgers.
Maybe.
He loves In-N-Out burgers.
Yep. Secret fuel. You know, some drivers, Jeff, sometimes there's not a rhyme or reason. They just feel comfortable at a racetrack when they go there for the first time.
Well, you've got to understand something, Steve. When you come to a racetrack, how quickly you pick up the points on the racetrack. Okay, he's not totally happy because right now the car's bottoming out. But, you know, you pick up your points as far as how you get off the gas, where you want to turn at, where you want to be at on the racetrack. And some things just become more comfortable to you than others at different tracks. And clearly, this is a racetrack that he has adapted to quite well.
Wendy.
I think the most interesting thing on the radio of Danica Patrick's communication has been her spotter, Chip Ross, who's been more of a driving coach up there, telling her exactly where she's getting the air dirty around her competitors on that racetrack. Danica Patrick says she needs to feel a little bit better off the throttle, gets loose in the corner. The rear end is not quite smooth like she wants it to be. They made a left rear spring change on that last time in. She is 36th on the chart and has run about 14 laps. Last time I just checked on that. Danica Patrick needs more rear grip, guys.
And she's now run more laps than anybody, Wendy. Want to mention, too, Kyle Busch is 11th overall in his Toyota. Brian Vickers in a Toyota the quickest.
You know, you can listen to her inside this race car working the throttle right now. And we see the red and black flags are being displayed at the start-finish line. So that'll bring us to the conclusion of this first practice session.
Just want to keep you updated on traffic. After the commercial, we'll check in with John Roberts down at the speed stage. Then Sprint Cup Series practice follows John. We'll have another nationwide practice and Sprint Cup qualifying. Don't forget trackside at 8:30 Eastern. Daytona 500 champion Jamie McMurray and Clint Boyer will join us.
It's going to be a really fun trackside show. Oh, and guess who'll be back? Darrell Waltrip.
Absolutely.
Missed him last week.
There's the official menu here on Speed. So Jason Leffler, the rest of the guys head to the garage to start the debrief process. Stay with us here on Speed. John Roberts is next.